Hello, future architects. My name is Architect Argel V. Kalanday. When you have a goal, you have a clear intention of what is your future 5 to 10 years after. Hi! So, kitang-kita nyo naman, mic to, bagong mic. Nakakita na ba kayo ng structure na walang bintana? Or maybe, nakakita na kayo ng Bartolina. OMG. Or, na-try nyo na maglagay ng box sa ulo nyo. Imagine kung hindi na uso yung bintana, no? What would architecture look like? A box? Imagine, daylighting is not even used as a strategy. Ano kaya yung ide-design nyo? Pader? Anyhow, applying daylighting strategy is not a complex work. Though di natin maiwasan na yung structure needs computation to pinpoint exactly the location in your building using the latitude and azimuths, and syempre, computing it towards the Philippines solar sun path. Even ako, hindi ko alam yun. As an architect, once you have the ground base covered, like yung mga basic theories in mind, madali nyo na may apply them in your architectural plans and elevations easily. What I'm going to tell you is not complex computations, not about doing the hard work. For me, yung number one goal natin dito is simplifying it and making it understandable para sa inyong lahat. You know, complex work is mentally draining and time wasting. Ayoko na mag-compute. But for precision naman, you have to rely on it heavily. But as long na you have the basic theory and principles in hand, you don't need to do the complex mathematical computation for your building because it just proves the same results para may apply ito agad-agad sa mga struktura natin. Having complex thoughts about this topic is a no-no. Okay? So kung iniisip nyo na,
Sir, ang hirap naman po nito.
well, ewan ko na lang after this discussion. Huwag kayong patatas. Alam ko madali lang ito para sa inyo. Everything na sasabihin natin dito is simple and throughout easy way, and by the end of this class, I'm sure that all of you can apply this to any plans possible in any of your work. What is the essence of daylighting? What is the importance of this? So, napipil nyo na ba? Raise a hand nga or comment kayo sa video kung may feelings kayo. Alam ko napipil nyo na din yung climate change. Matagal na. Stronger typhoons, extended summer, yung feel mo na sa sauna ka kahit nasa loob ka lang naman ng bahay. Dahil dito, yung heavy reliance natin sa automatic vent systems like aircons and all. Comment nga guys dito, sino dito yung mga yayamanin, yung mga naka-split type dyan. Baka naman to, palasada kayo dyan. No? Anyways, dahil sa climate change, nagiging reliant na tayo sa artificial vents system. Seeing na malimit na tayo makakita ng commercial establishment na nakadesign sa natural ventilation. Pero as you can see, it can be easily strategized if some part lang ng building nyo ang naka-expose sa mga ganitong design. Kung kaya, ang objective natin is to minimize the energy cost ng building natin in a long run. Yung pagdidisenyo natin ng mga struktura with the basic principle na ma-utilize natin yung free energy from the sun is isa sa mga passive ways na maisama sa ating building designs and make it adaptable by lessening the energy cost. So in the future, baka isa sa inyo, di ba, yung maka-discover ng new building strategy na pwedeng mag-lessen ng building's energy cost, right? Anything is possible. Posible din na maging kayo ng crush nyo. Posible din na hindi, di ba? And lastly, sa pagdidisenyo, alam nyo, once na nabago nyo yung ecosystem sa isang lugar, say, nagko-construct kayo ng building sa area na may living species, alam nyo na, pag nagtayo kayo ng bagong struktura doon, magbabago na yung fabric ng ecosystem. Kung possible, we want na mag-minimize ang impact natin sa environment. Design with purpose. How can I easily apply this in my plan is another question. Daylighting is the is the design strategy that prioritize to get natural light sa loob ng buildings para ma-minimize the electrical cost. Based on a book by Norbert Fletcher, 25% of the building's electricity is used for lighting and 40% of the building's electricity is allotted for illumination. Kung iisipin natin, if malalaki yung buildings natin like say, for example, skyscrapers, hindi lang basta-basta ang 40%. Imagine, Metro Manila skyscrapers, then alam nyo na some of the buildings sa Manila are BPO companies. Yung mga BPO companies na usually renting lang a space sa isang skyscraper, 50% ng floor level of their facilities is not used during the daytime. Ganun sila mag-save ng kanilang electricity. Imagine if their electricity cost is 1 million pesos, then yung 40% of the 1 million pesos is 400,000. Imagine monthly, 400,000 is billed to you na pwede mo pang ilagay sa iba mo pang expenditure as a business owner. So, ang golden question natin dyan is, why not lessen the building's electricity cost for illumination by doing a passive daylighting strategy? Oo nga, bakit nga ba hindi? Na-experience nyo na ba mag-design ng mga building na walang window? Alam ko na na-experience nyo na. May mga guilty na dyan. Char. Yung basic essence ng daylighting is to have as many openings as we can. Anyhow, 80% of work hours take place during daylight, excluding the BPO working in their offices. 80% of work hours, imagine, pag our building is not correctly designed to daylighting strategy, how can you be productive if you have no source of light? Good view results in better productivity, brain function, and memory and recall based on Norbert Fletcher. Yan yung mga prime things na nararamdaman when we are exposed to daylight. So sana all may feelings. Parang feeling mo kay crush. Makati talaga ng ilong ko. Lahat tayo as human nature, we crave a physical connection to nature because it is human instinct. Wow. Hindi lang sa mga crush nyo kayo nag-e-establish ng connection ha. Huwag kayong patatas. From ancient times, people live in a cave. And that's how we connect with the earth. Getting our feet drenched down to mud and stones and namumuhay with the natural habitation with connection to earth-made habitat. Before, si ancient men rely on fresh fruit and meat for food. Our way of living is through hunting in the wilds to survive. That's why we are much more productive when we are exposed to the sun's natural light kasi we feel the connection with our physical environment. And plus na din doon yung good view. And yung view na yun ay hindi lagi kay crush. Daylighting and perfect view results in better productivity, better brain function, and memory recall. In hospitals, gumagawa tayo large area for open spaces because sa studies, people tend to heal faster when they are exposed to lovely views and daylighting. Yun yung reason why hospitals in Singapore designed their hospitals with atriums and roof gardens. It psychologically affects the healing of the people also pag exposed sa great view and daylight. Pero sabi nga, mas enjoy ang view pag may kasama ka viewing it. Parang Nescafe, Tara Cafe, char. Anyways, architects often use plenty of windows for the reason na gusto nating ma-enjoy ng clients natin yung views and provide visual relief to meet client demands and aesthetics. We most of the time get the joy of designing buildings with more windows, not just for only aesthetic purposes, but with this in mind. Okay? How can I easily apply daylighting strategy in my plans? It all amounts to the basic idea of orienting spaces, orientation. As the basic rule of thumb, north and south are the most optimal orienting places to design windows. Review tayo in north to south orientation, maximize the use of window spaces. And given with the idea, more enormous windows, especially in north orientation with proper horizontal sun shading device para ma-minimize the glare on the south side. While east and west orientation have a specific time wherein we can harness natural light and heat. Guys, matandaan nyo lang talaga ito. Masaya na ako. Still, kailangan natin to deal with harsh solar radiation from the sun. Ano yung maaari natin gawin para at least ma-minimize yung discomfort nito for our clients and users. Di naman din natin maiwasan kasi one way or another, the sun will rise and set on the orientation, di ba? What can we do? Minimize the arrangement of windows in east and west orientation. Moreover, pwede mo utilize the east and west for orientation for utilitarian spaces with little to no activities during the whole day. Isa pa siguro, naisip nyo na,
Sir, I put windows sa north and south side ng rooms ko. I use daylighting as a strategy. Nilagyan ko na din po, sir, ng bintana sa east and west para sure. Lagyan nyo na kaya pati floor. Chat.
Sir, na-achieve ko na po ang strategy ng daylighting. Well guys, na-achieve nyo na. Pero parang crush nyo lang yan na kahit anong gawin nyo, different enough para sagutin. Yes, maganda ang arrangement ng windows, but naisip nyo ba na may mga blind spot din yung areas ng building natin na di talaga naaarawan kahit gaano kadami yung windows na ilagay natin? Based again from Idol Norbert Fletcher, basic rule of thumb. The maximum length that the light can enter through our building the whole day is only up to 15 feet or 4.5 meters in total length from the total point of origin. As you notice, there is only a limited area where the sunlight can enter our facilities through the windows. Take this floor plan as an example. So ito yung plan natin. You can see if bumilang tayo ng 4.5 meters away from the windows, yung remaining area ng structure natin is left na hindi nabibigyan ng much of daylighting. And syempre with that, dito na papasok yung use of skylight as next strategy to maximize daylighting system in our building. Suppose if the design is not concerned yung building natin is horizontally shaped, well, certainly yung buildings natin ay iba-iba yung exposure sa araw. Depende din sa form ng buildings natin, tama? Pag square, ang tendency is balance yung distribution ng light and heat, pero not much recommended kung iniiwasan natin yung direct sunlight sa east and west, tama? Pag rectangle, mas maganda kung yung shorter side natin ang naka-orient sa east and west, given na yung side shape natin ay umaayon and sa functionality ng buildings natin. In that case, balik tayo sa gamit ng skylight. Mama-maximize natin yung daylighting natin by using specific kinds of windows through our roof, depending sa kung anong type ng skylight yung gagamitin natin for our building.
So, hindi lang talaga crashes natin yung mga type natin. Siyempre, pati skylight din, di ba?
It could be clerestory, monitor windows, sawtooth, or skylight. By incorporating these strategies, pwede nating ma-maximize yung daylighting in our, of course, structure. Dako tayo sa form of the building. Kanina na-discuss na natin briefly about the forms of our building. Quick recap na lang that according to Norbert Fletcher, the maximum length that the light can enter through our building the whole day is only up to 15 feet or 4.5 meters in total length from the point of origin. So from that principle, pwede na nating madraw ang conclusion na the maximum length of our building structures exposed to natural light could not be more than 4.5 meters regardless of functionality and site conditions present. So, isa ito sa pwede ninyong gawin while just formulating your form ng structure nyo and initial planning. Ask yourself all the time kung if possible, may-utilize ba natin itong daylighting strategy na ito sa design natin. Siyempre, there will come a time na sobrang mag-iisip ka. Tapos, may na-experience nyo na ba yun? Yung
Tipong ito na yung tama kong gawin sa planning ko dahil mas accessible yung room 1 sa let's say room 2. Pero pag tingin niyo sa plan and site na ko, paano ko gagawin na sa east and west orientation? Dito.
ano ang gagawin mo? As for me, mas inuuna ko ang function ng space kung papipiliin ako. Pero as much as possible para tayo nagpa-puzzle here. That's why yung paggawa ng paunang disenyo ng floor plan nyo, pinag-iisipan na mabuti. Isipan nyo ng options, options, and options. Sabi nga sa Four Sister in a Wedding. So, by the way, kung hindi nyo pa napapanood, please watch. Sana all, isa sa options, diba? Share ko lang. The use of atrium na number 2. I'm sure na-discuss na ito sa tropical design ninyo. Pero naisip nyo ba kung bakit mas recommended ito kaysa sa paggamit ng skylights? Sana all iniisip, diba? Skylights or windows through the roof are costly, especially yung glass na we specify for that skylight. Usually laminated glasses. Laminated glass is thick and typically used as a glass partition for expensive bathrooms. Hindi lang mahal, pero since nasa roof siya, mahirap siya i-maintain and linisin. Siguro kung maglalagay ka ng special access sa skylight mo or elevator, mas madali, diba? Pero come to think of it, why would I design a skylight tapos papapamahalin ko pa dahil sa special access na gagawin ko? In terms of functionality and cost, talagang mapapathink twice ka. Speaking of twice, yun ang pan dito ng twice. Yay! Bigyan ko ng plus point. Char. Well, pero kung magiging function pa naman ang special access mo na yun, besides for maintenance lang ng skylight, well, much better kung bibigyan mo siya ng ibang function. If probable, there is still a greater options besides using skylight, and that is the integration of atrium design sa design strategy natin. Atrium design strategy can be specifically located at the center of the structure, having a width of at least 4.5 meters with corridors on both sides. The recommended building form is rectangular if the site and function permits. That will maximize daylighting in your building. And when the daylight comes, I have to go, but tonight I'm gonna hold you so close. Comment down below kung anong song yan. Bigyan ko ng plus point. The space planning. Pag kino-consider yung open space planning, open planning strategy is your go-to in terms of the simplistic design sa passive cooling and solar. Frank Lloyd Wright popularized open planning to maximize the natural light, heat, and wind from the environment outside the structure. Take note na lang yung mga structure na nandito sa Philippines and find what's interesting sa floor plan na meron dyan. Open planning strategy means na nagpaplano kayo without much partitions sa interior of your structure. Very common ito lalong-lalo na sa tropical countries like sa atin kasi mas na-maximize natin yung lahat ng free energy na meron tayo like light, heat, cold, and wind. When utilizing open space planning, we have to minimize obstruction rather, not limiting the spaces exposed to windows that you designed. So, the first time I got this project, sobrang tuwa ko kasi finally lalabas na ako ng opisina. So, masaya pa talaga ako nun actually. Then, dumating yung revision ng plan, sinasabi ko sa sarili ko, okay lang naman akong magbago ko para sa kanila. Then dumating yung procurement, yung pag-order ng materials, yung pag-manage ng tao. I went literally in the verge of my sanity. In-question ko na lang din yung existence ko. Sabi ko parang mas masayang maging halaman. Kidding aside, dami kong natutunan dahil sa project na to. And lucky kayo kasi lahat ng natutunan ko from here na ituturo ko sa inyo, di ba? So itong nakikita nyo is my actual project in Kalikid. Nakikita nyo I didn't use much walls sa interior because gusto ko yung openness ng interior to views and light. Sa labas ng window na ito, may makikita kayong pools and landscape and all. And isa pa, sobrang liwanag sa umaga ng structure kahit di na sila magbukas ng ilaw actually. Parang na-imagine mo na nakikita mo si crush mo palagi. Then di ba magliliwanag yung paligid? Ganun ang feels. Char. Color. Nakakita na ba kayong pure black na buildings lalong-lalo na sa mga residential building? Form concept niyan uling. Char. Siguro yung Castillo sa Harry Potter. Nakakita na ba kayo ng bahay na pinya? Char. Irrelevant yun. Erase. Anyway, using light colors in the interior walls of your building reflects light from the window. Light colors reflect more light. Light color adds intensity sa liwanag na pumapasok sa bintana natin. Kung mapapansin nyo, most modern facilities today only use neutral colors because of the very purpose of reflecting light para sa interiors ng building natin. In case na malimutan nyo, neutral colors are in the color spectrum of white, gray, and black. As you can see, yung color palette ko dito is more on white and yung accent ko lang dito is brown and orange. Ganon din yung sa loob niyan, pero as of now, di ko pagawa. Light-colored interiors not only reflect light further into the building but also diffuse it. If the light is diffused, nababawasan niya yung sun's shadow, glare, and excessive brightness. 3. Color scheme strategy in interior. Presenting my color scheme strategy when it comes to interior. Drumroll yun. So sa pag-consider ng color scheme strategy na ito, hindi lang walls ang kino-consider natin to paint in lighter colors. The lightest color in your interior dapat is the ceiling. Then yung flooring naman natin for interiors is used for passive solar or floor heating. And flooring could be on a dark tone. The walls should be light in color. Yung ceiling should be the lightest in color. This strategy was a rule of thumb when I was just an apprentice taught to me by my mentor, Architect Lubunao, that the interior colors of our building are like the environment. So, backstory. When I was an apprentice, mas naisip ko mag-quit maging apprentice kaysa nung nag-aaral. My mentor is really strict kasi like kailangan masabayan mo ang maganda lahat ng instruction niya. Anyway, ang kati talaga ng ilong ko. Nakakaamoy ako ng hindi maganda. Very specific din siya sa theme and design ng structure. There was this time I had given a specific task para gumawa ng option for a client. And the structure is like an event hall. I was really excited back then. Masaya ako kasi nagdidisenyo ako tapos feel ko, napupulfill ko yung soon na pagiging arkitekto ko. Then, nag-design ako. Yung time parang lumipas ng sobrang bilis. Like, parang bilis lang. Then, sobrang proud ako kasi natutuwa ako sa output ko. Then, present ko sa kanya. Then, sabi niya,
ano ba naman to?
Hindi naman ganun. Pero, sabi pa niya, pinag-isipan mo ba to ng mabuti? So, yung hardest part is yung pag-control ko sa emotion ko kasi gusto ko na talagang umuwi nun. Pero I kept at it. At least 3 design na produce ko noon that night. Exhausted ako pag uwi ko. Then, the start of my own hell after college. Ako kasi noon talaga hindi pa ganun ka-develop yung level ko ng pagde-design. And talagang lahat ng napoproduce ko ng work is not pang professional. Kaya araw-araw ako nasisermonan. Pero it taught me a lot. At very thankful ako kasi in some point of my life, I made my mentor proud. Anyhow, yung color scheme strategy natin is categorized into 3. The ground, the view, and the sky. Depending on the tonal value, the land should be in the darkest, represented in our interior as flooring. Walls represent the light, which also should be in a light color. Then the ceiling represents the sky, which is the most brightest color among the 3. The light-colored ceiling's function is to reflect and diffuse the light from the windows to our interiors. And the most important thing to remember is that we are using light colors to minimize the glare and add intensity to light. We can experience glare in our daily commute. Glare ba ito? Nakikita? Tapos, nabayan mano, aliwanag trip na trip ng tricycle mo maging disco ball sa gitna ng kalsada. Kabad trip. So, na-experience nyo ba yun? When we see a tricycle made out of reflective aluminum, the surface when direct sunlight hits it produces a spotlight effect that causes mild discomfort in our eyes. As architects, we don't want that feeling of pain from our interiors. Okay lang masaktan paminsan-minsan, wag lang araw-araw. Number 5 na ata, the view and daylighting. Na-realize nyo na ba bakit gumaganda ang paligid pag nakikita nyo yung mga crush nyo? Well, for the simple reason na you find something interesting sa crush nyo pag nakikita nyo. It makes it even more interesting kasi parang totoo talaga yung napapanood natin sa mga K-drama, di ba? Pag dumadating na yung leading guy and girl, everything around him or her gumaganda na din. Nagiging vibrant. Well, it's the same for creating lovely views para sa mga end users nyo ng structures. Usually, sineseparate natin the openings dedicated for the window, for the view, and daylighting sa buildings natin. Yung go-to design natin is usually high windows designed for daylighting. Since naka-position siya in an elevated manner, it also maximizes the area exposed to the daylight. Malaki yung area na naaarawan. Kung view lang ang pag-uusapan natin, it is located explicitly for locations strategically placed at maybe a landscape, a body of water, or a scenic space. Suppose maganda ang orientation ng space natin. We can use a full height window to maximize the user's view depending sa function of the area. Kung malaki naman ang budget ni client and it is a residential bungalow, i-design nyo na mataas yung floor to ceiling height ng structure nyo. Then, integrate natin yung ribbon windows popularized by Le Corbusier. Okay, guys, hindi ito yung bintanang may ribbon, okay? Sure. Pag-usapan naman natin si National Building Code. National Building Code standards specified na mayroon tayong proportion na sinusunod in designing windows based sa area of the wall. Minimum of 10% of the wall surface is intended for the window openings. Always, di ba dapat mas mataas ang gagamitin higher percentage allotted for windows pero dapat not lower than 10% of the wall surface area nyo. Para sure tayo. Mainam na maging sure. So, hindi same sa love. Love is a risk. Yung mga horizontally designed window is best for daylighting purposes. In contrast, vertically designed windows naman are best for the view. How can we apply daylight as our design strategy by just tweaking our window designs? Presenting the top 3 basic window strategies na pwede natin agad-agad gawin sa mga window designs natin. Agad-agad. By just making bago of the littlest, tiniest details sa window natin, malaki na yung impact na magagawa with regards to daylighting. Siyempre, with the more windows we design in a certain space, mas malaki ang chances of winning chart. Mas maraming area yung naaarawan. But the placement of windows natin should not be limited sa one wall only. Kung dadamihan natin the openings in the room, the more na makakapag-admit tayo ng natural light. I-avoid natin yung pag-place ng windows sa isang wall lang. Yung pag-place natin ng 2 windows on opposite or adjacent walls is the strategy for better light distribution and minimizing glare. The number 1 technique, splaying walls to reduce the contrast. Splaying walls, ano yun? Bagong word, diba? Hanapin natin yung meaning. So, sabi sa thefreedictionary.org, it is an oblique angle or bevel given to the sides of an opening in a wall so that the opening is wider on one side of the wall than on the other. Ngayon, maliwanag na sa ating lahat ang splaying. Punta tayo ulit sa mga bintana. Since sa mga normal designs natin ng windows like in this picture presented by, mas nakaka-receive tayo ng more brightness on the sun, especially from east to west, yung best strategy is to splay the window corners. It's possible that the edges of the top and bottom windows are rounded, splayed, or sloped as seen from the figures. Why? Because kung mapapansin nyo sa ibang mga designs ni Frank Lloyd Wright, yung walls are splayed at mapapansin nyo na kagaya ito ng trombe wall na previously na-discussed natin for passive solar. Yung ganitong strategy minimizes heat at glare sa interior natin kasi na-buff na siya sa labas pa lang. Wait, kung hindi kayo makasunod, pwede nyo guys panoorin yung video ko about passive solar. Huwag kayong patatas. Ano to? Hirap kayo mag-prepare ng lessons so hindi nyo papanoorin. Number 2, shade windows from excess sunlight. So in our previous discussion, horizontals are suitable for the south, orientation, and north. By this time, alam kong kabisado nyo na to. Ulit-ulit na tayo. We control the glare and light gradient coming from outside. Light absorption is minimized to 50%. Overall, controlling yung light direction and thermal comfort in our interior. Kapag nagde-design tayo ng building, gumagamit tayo ng louvers, and this is much better kung yung underside is painted in a light color. Dahil dito, mas na-maximize natin yung reflectance of ground light. And ground light is the reflected light source from the ground. Kamukha lang din sa vertical louvers. In that case, yung picture natin dito shows how the light is reflected back sa interiors by just using color. Hindi lang natin na-block off yung daylight on our interiors but also diffuse it while reducing the glare. Using light colors is the key. Next is using movable shades. Pabago-bago ang panahon, minsan hot, minsan cold, parang sa relationship lang yun, minsan steady, minsan rocky. Pero what is important is lagi tayong ready. Ready to accept our faults, minsan denial din. Yun din sa pagde-design natin. We have to design a structure that is prepared for any type of climate na meron tayo. Let's take this example. Makikita natin dito na sa orientation of our windows in east and west side, nakaka-receive lang sila ng solar energy at 50% per day. Hindi talaga natin may consider that our spaces will be located sa hot sides ng orientation natin. We need to incorporate movable shades. Examples of movable shades are Venetian blinds. Using movable shades allows us to control the light and heat in our windows oriented east and west. Another strategy is using light-colored shades and highly reflective colors in our movable shades para mas ma-maximize ulit natin yung light reflectance natin while blocking off some of the heat. If budget limitations are not a problem, we can apply sturdy movable shading devices outdoor Venetian blinds as seen in the picture. This material is trendy in Germany and Austria. This material is sturdy enough to resist wind, snow, and any other climate conditions outside. The sturdy outdoor Venetian blind comprises reflective components like aluminum to reflect light away from the interior and ceilings indoor. So napakadami talagang ways para ma-minimize natin yung heat at ma-maximize ang daylight sa ating interiors. That includes this. The use of skylight using the form of our building, the use of ATRIUM, applying the color scheme strategy, splaying our windows, shading our windows for excessive sunlight, and using movable shades. Okay? So we all know na meron tayong free energy as always, waiting for us na i-utilize siya sa design natin. It lessens the cost, maintenance, reducing energy cost, and buildings cost in the long run. It also promotes a healthy environment sa users natin. As a promoter of a sustainable architecture ngayon, palang isa na kayo sa magiging contributor ng ganitong knowledge, most especially sa design natin. We are architects and we design not only for our users but also protects the environment and make decisive impact sa lahat na magiging future projects natin. Ang pati talaga ng ilang ito.